Good morning, PBC kids. We're so glad to see you today. How are you doing with Psalm 23? Can you say the first part with me? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Today, we're going to hear some of the story of the man God used to write Psalm 23. Do you know who that was? Here's a hint. One time he used a rock and a sling to save his country, and he was just a boy when he did that. Did you know that God still uses young people to serve him? He does. You can tell your friends about God and what he has done. Our granddaughter, Kate Stimson, has written the scripts that we have used for these reader theaters. She has used a talent God gave her to do that, and she wants to continue writing radio broadcasts for children as her career. Let's listen to the story of David and see how God chose him and used him from the time he was a young boy.
Hey, pass those arrows, would you?
Sure, here you go.
Whoa, don't be throwing them at me like that.
Well, you said to pass them over.
Well, not at my face.
All right. Listen, I know you've had it rough, but I'm not here to hurt you.
I know, I was just teasing.
Hey, I've got a question.
Well, what's up?
How did you do it?
What do you mean?
My dad, he chased you everywhere. And then even after, everyone just wanted you out of the picture. How did you manage to keep your trust in God?
I'm a shepherd.
Well, I know that you were one before, but how does that even relate to your trust in God?
Well, just sit back and let me tell you a little story. I was about 12 years old. Dad, the bear, it was huge, but I managed to keep him away. I prayed and God gave me so much strength. I fought him off and he left, and he ran off just like a scared cat.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're able to scare him away. Now, could you please come with me? The prophet Samuel wants to talk to you.
I don't get it, Dad. God help me so much. I could have died today, me and all of your sheep.
I know, but listen, this is a more important matter. The prophet of Israel wants to talk to you. You!
Me? What about?
He already looked to your brothers, and I guess he didn't like any of them, so he asked for you.
What about?
I totally thought he'd be interested in ELIAB, your oldest brother. He said to get consecrated in everything, and now he wants you.
What about?
He wants to anoint you as King of Israel.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
Yep.
No way.
How many times are you going to keep repeating yourself?
Well, I'm only 12, Dad. Why does he want me to king? I mean, it's so cool, but how?
Apparently, God chose you. I don't quite understand myself, but it's crazy.
Oh, what about King Saul?
We'll see.
My father and I returned to Samuel, where my 7 brothers stood looking pretty upset that they weren't chosen. But I passed by all of them, and I went up to Samuel.
Here he is, Samuel.
Yes, God has said that this is the one. David, I now anoint you to be king over Israel. I must leave you now. Goodbye.
David, you're to be king over all Israel? This is insane. My own son, a shepherd boy, not even a soldier, and Saul is still king. What are we going to do about that? Yeah, my dad was still king. What did you guys do at least before I got to know you?
Well, remember, I became a servant of your father, Jonathan.
Oh, yes, of course. Whenever he had a temper tantrum, you'd come over and sing to him, right?
Yes, as odd as it sounds. Yes, I sang to the king when he got mad. But it worked. A harmful spirit of anger would come over your father, and my singing and playing of the harp would refresh him so that the spirit would leave.
I was always glad when he calmed down. It was crazy how many times he tried and succeeded in killing people when he was angry.
Well, I know that God was definitely with me. He was my shepherd.
And he was also your shepherd when you battled that giant, too.
Oh, yes, he was. I remember that day like it was yesterday.
David, come in from the flock. I have something for you to do for me.
Yes, Father, here I am.
I want you to go and deliver this food to your brothers on the battle line. They're fighting the Philistines right now with King Saul and need this.
Oh, wow. Fighting the Philistines, that sure is tough. I know. God can help them with this battle. He always helps Israel.
Yes, he does. Now please go and deliver this bread and cheese.
Of course. So I went down to the battle line where my brothers, King Saul and the Israelite warriors and the Philistines were. Much to my surprise, though, none of the Israelites was even acting like warriors. They all just stood together, refusing to fight.
Thinking back on that, it was kind of embarrassing.
Well, anyway, I went up to my brothers. Hey, ELIAB, here's the grub. Catch!
David, what are you doing here? Why aren't you home taking care of your flocks?
I brought you guys some food, and why aren't you fighting?
Haven't you seen him?
Seen who?
The giant!
No, I haven't seen him, but how's that stopping you guys?
Look, there he is! See, he challenges us every day now and demands that someone come forward and beat him. If we win, the Philistines will be our slaves, but if we lose, I don't even want to think about it.
And why haven't you guys gone out yet? I'm still missing it.
Can you not see? Look, he's huge. He's got to be at least 9 feet tall.
I know, but we've also got God on our side. It's not like God will fail us. We can beat him. Come on, why don't you go out?
Me? No way, kid. Listen, why don't you just go back to the sheep? You don't know anything about war anyway.
No.
What?
No. How could you do this? I have heard the same story from the other soldiers around here, and how could this whole army think that God won't help us out?
You know what? I think you're a bit whacked in the head right now. So how about you go and just talk to the king about your problems? And you did, didn't you?
Yep. I went up to the king, who was pretty surprised, but he'd said he'd take anybody who was willing to fight. So he gave me some armor, which didn't fit at all.
I remember seeing you. You looked pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, Jonathan. Anyway, I took off the armor and went onto the battlefield. In the valley was a small stream. I picked up some stones, took my sling, and prayed for God's help. Then I went to Goliath, and with one swing of the sling, the giant fell down, mid-laugh when he saw who he was up against. Now that he was knocked out, I went off and cut his head, and Goliath was dead.
It was amazing. All the Philistines started to flee. Now that Israel had seen God's protection again, we followed his leading.
After that was when we were formally introduced.
I loved the strength you showed in God. From that point on, our friendship had grown to the point where we were like brothers.
However, your father was not so pleased.
His jealousy started to overtake him. The crowds would sing out that Saul had struck down thousands and David his 10,000s. You helped Israel in so many ways. You were quite the war hero, and my father hated it. He wished that he had all the glory, while you made sure to glorify God.
The king became so intense with jealousy that he even tried to kill me. But you warned me, and I was able to escape.
And whenever you had the chance to kill him and protect yourself, you refused.
Well, God made him king, and so I was not going to take his place. Until God said to do so, he would remain king.
Remember that one day you caught my father in the cave?
He stopped inside while I was in fact hiding there, and so to prove that I was not against him, I cut off a piece of his robe. And then when he left, I went after him and showed him that I had not taken the opportunity to kill him. He had said that he was sorry at the time, and we parted ways in peace.
Or so you thought.
Yep, even after that, your father still tried to kill me. There was one instance where he was chasing after me, and we happened to cross paths.
But he was asleep and didn't realize you were there.
So I tried to prove to him that I wasn't against him. This time I took his spear and his water jug from him while he slept.
And those were his 2 main ways to survive when you think about it.
Then we left, and I called to him from the hill and showed him that I had not killed him. He again claimed to regret what he was doing against me.
Well, I'm glad you were able to show him in this way that you were an honorable man. You were honestly being like a shepherd to him. You showed him the right way to go and gave him an opportunity to do it.
I hadn't thought of it like that before.
What about after you did become king?
Well, even after your father died, it still took some time to become king because much of Israel had turned against me.
Even though you had been winning so many battles for us, the Philistines were still afraid of you. They knew you were powerful and were able to defeat anyone you wanted.
That's because I trusted in God. He would lead me like a shepherd leads his sheep. I knew that whatever he told me was true and that he would always protect me. Plus, God was sure to provide for me. I was not alone. Several hundred men joined me and fought with me in supporting my kingship.
Ah, yes, David and his mighty men.
Soon after I became king, we again went to war with the Philistines. The Ark of the Covenant had been captured by the Philistines in previous battles, though.
So when this battle ended, with the Israelites having won, you guys were able to take the ark back.
Yes, however, when bringing it to Jerusalem, we had placed it on a cart instead of having the priests carry it. And the road was rather bumpy, so the ark started to slip.
What did you guys do? It's the holiest object of all of them in the temple.
Well, there was a man who tried to catch it. Unfortunately, he was not a Levite and was prohibited from touching the ark. So when he did touch it, he died immediately.
Oh no! What did you guys do after that?
Well, it was stored for a while in another man's house who was holy. Soon after, it was brought back to Jerusalem. There was much rejoicing throughout the whole city.
Except for one person.
Yeah, my wife. I had just finished making an altar to God and dancing through the streets in praise of him when...
David, how could you embarrass yourself, let alone me, like that? Dancing through the streets like a complete weirdo. I don't care what your purpose was at all. You looked ridiculous, and I am ashamed of you. Everyone will mock you forever.
It was before the Lord who chose me when he anointed me to be the ruler over the Lord's people, Israel. I will celebrate before the Lord. I will become even more undignified than this, and I will be humiliated in my own eyes. But by everyone else you spoke of, I will be held in honor for worshiping God.
And you were right. When I listen to that story, I see how you are shepherding your people Israel. At this point, it seems that nothing ever went wrong during your reign.
Oh, believe me, plenty went wrong. Take this one day. All of Israel had gone to war except me. Just to start things off, I was being lazy. I continued over the next several weeks to continue sinning against God. I coveted and stole a most prized possession that was not mine. I murdered the man who I stole to cover it up. Then I tried to forget it all happened, and just to keep up with the regular kingly life. You know, servant, bring this, bring that, bring this, bring that.
Yeah, we get the point.
Sorry, but God was obviously very displeased with me. I had wronged him in so many different ways, so he sent a prophet to tell me about my sins against him.
Sir, Mr. King, do you mind if I come in?
Well, Nathan, please do come in. Join us. We're having some delicious hamburgers with some manna on the side. Quite tasty if you ask me.
No thanks.
So, why have you graced us with your presence in this way?
I have a story to tell you.
Oh, I love stories. Continue.
Once there were two men.
What were their names?
A what?
You gotta have names for the characters.
Oh, I don't know. How about Ned and Jerry?
Sounds good.
Okay, so Ned was a very poor man. All he owned was one little sheep. He loved it like his own son. He cared for it all the time and made sure it would grow up to be healthy as best as he could, even though he didn't own anything else. There was another man whose name was Jerry. He owned everything in the world. He had tons of sheep and ate them all the time for dinner. One day, Jerry invited a friend over for dinner.
That was nice of Jerry.
But Jerry did not take one of his own sheep to feed his friend.
Oh, that was not nice of Jerry.
Instead, he took Ned's only lamb, the one he loved so much, and he and his friend ate it, giving nothing in return to Ned.
Well, that was terrible. How dared Jerry to do such a thing? Jerry deserves to die for taking Ned's sheep. It's the only thing that he owned.
Oh, King, Jerry is you.
What?
You stole that man's most prized possession and then murdered him to cover it up. You deserve to die.
You're right. I have sinned against the Lord. I deserve to die. Oh, may the Lord forgive me. May he create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. May he not cast me away from his presence, and may he restore me to the joy of my salvation. May his shepherding spirit be with me.
Do not fear. Because you have confessed, you will not die, David. However, you still need to be punished. Therefore, your son will die instead.
And with that, Nathan left. I mourned the death of my son for many days. However, soon after, my wife gave birth to another son, whose name was Solomon.
Boy, God sure was gracious to you. All of this just shows how much mercy the Great Shepherd has.
Yes, it does. After that, there was much struggle within my family and many problems of anger. One of my sons turned against me and attempted to take the throne from me.
What did you do?
This led to me even more fleeing.
From your own family?
From my own family. But I still love my son. After I had seen how God forgave me for my sins to him, I knew that I could forgive my own son and still love him with all of my heart. Unfortunately, one day one of my own murdered my son. I was infuriated with the man. How could he have done this? After all, he was still my family.
But he'd done so much against you.
And I had done so much against God, but he still forgave me. So I remained faithful to both my son and to God, and God continued to provide for me.
How?
Well, even after my son's death, God gave us plenty of victories over the Philistines and continued to be the great shepherd of Israel. He protected me and showed his mercy to me for all of my life.
And this helped you to lead Israel as their shepherd too.
I guess it kind of does. I am glad I got to be Israel's shepherd. I only wish that every action of mine had pointed to God. 1,000 years later, Jesus did come and became the great shepherd for the world. And he came through my line of generations. So I hope that all people are pointed to him. He is merciful and just. Unlike me, he is the perfect shepherd. And because he forgives us when we admit we are sinners, we ask for forgiveness, and we get to live in his house forever.
Here are your questions for the week. Ages 3 to 5. What kind of work did David do for his father? Grades kindergarten to 3rd grade. Why were the Israelites afraid to fight Goliath? Grades 4 to 6. What happened in David's life because he sinned against God? There is more than one consequence. Send your answers to Jordan, and remember to make a video of you reciting Psalm 23. If you need help and would like us to help you, let us know and we will Zoom with you to practice it. Your parents can email or call us and let us know that you would like our help. Can't wait to see those videos. Bye!